Hey traders, welcome to this week's Staying Sharp with COT Data Insights. I'm Phil Mobbs, and in this video, I'll break down the key market setups and watching based off of the CFTC positioning data and price action. If you're following my newsletter, this will bring it together visually. So let's get into it. Now, for this week, before I proceed into why I think this week is a trap, we have to recap what happened last week. And sorry, it's been a while I actually posted on YouTube, but my weekly post on the newsletter has been constantly going out, just that I couldn't have time to make a video on YouTube. So, in the case of the indices last week and even this week, we have maintained the case that we are being bullish and price has only but continued to support that. And this is just based off of the idea that we have a very decreased amount of open interest, and this should be supportive of price going higher. We see that the non-commercials have been cooling off their orders of long, meaning they are missing out on this, and increasing on their shorts too as well. So for me, that was just a telling sign of what is to come, right, for continuous bullish price action. That has been the case. So we always wait to see how Tuesday closes for us to know how positions are going to be priced for the week. And again, last week upon Tuesday close, we were able to see that what else could have been the case to mitigate our reasoning or be in line with our reasoning. We know for here from the price action here, we had a fair value gap, a tap into it upon Tuesday close. It just screams higher prices, right? And that would have been the buyers going ahead. And literally, the idea was just to be long the indices. The S&P 500 just delivered just that for us last week upon Tuesday close. So it's a wonderful observation for us to keep on the radar. We also have DXY last week, which we called for some retracement to happen before the continuation higher. And that was exactly what the market gave us. This was the newsletter came out on Sunday, right? So we were looking for a pullback for us to continue the move higher. This was also in line with the anticipation we had on UJ2 as well. All because if you look at this positioning that we had as well, we had a peak in the net bullish position of the commercials, and a sustained decline in the net positioning is sufficient ingredient for us to know that they would want to push price higher, and that was the whole thing. However, upon the close of last week, we knew, okay, this has been stretched enough for the week, for the month rather, and we wanted some pullback, and then we can continue to ride on the wave. However, Tuesday close again is going to be how we wanted to see that pullback happen, and then we can know the way forward. And that was exactly what we got. Upon Tuesday close, we had our retracement, and then now we're looking for more reason to be bullish, right? And I think by the time we start taking out Friday's high, this should give us sufficient reason for us to want to go long on DXY. So on the yen has been a very interesting one for us to as well to observe. The yen was well positioned for a retracement, which we called out. I think I was calling this level since was it the 14th of July? Yeah, since the 14th of July, I've been calling for this level. I wanted a retest of that high there. I called that an equal high, and then a retracement for us to then start breathing higher for the close of the month. And so far, that's how we have been, right? So I still want to see more evidence to suggest we're going higher. Tuesday close, just continuation. I mean, in this kind of case here, I haven't seen that we've seen a clear shift in market structure even on the 4-hour. This is already a good environment for me to want to be long this, right? And it makes for a very interesting case for UJ. We just smashed it over with this anticipation, and we just think it's a healthy way to look at UJ. The star for the week actually has to do with silver. Silver was quite an interesting observation too as well. We noted the need to wait for Tuesday close for silver, and then the best price actually has to come on Thursday and on Friday, because it was the third week of the month. How do we measure that? We measure that knowing the third Monday of the month. That's literally, I've preferred using that way to look at when is the first week, second, and the third week. So for me, I just use that as the third week for me to be able to decipher what is the third week. So we use that to decipher when the third week begins, which is the third Monday of the month going forward. again, the thesis has been the fact that we see that the non-commercials have been stacking up persistent maximum long positions, and we see on the opposite side that the commercials were net short, coupled with the fact that we had an increase in the open interest at a topping level. I just knew, no, please, we're going down, right? And we just have to wait for the timing. It's just we just have to wait for the timing. Um, on the expiry of this contract, one of the reasons why we were not keen on it, though it was obvious that should be a drop, is the fact that we had a drop in open interest, and when we have a drop in open, this is usually supportive of price. So the moment we began seeing on July 15th, when the data came out last week, the moment we saw that the open interest was high again, like over 8k increase, okay, this is a good level to be watching for that fall to eventually happen, due to the fact that the non-commercials were high on their commitment. And one of the things we want to actually be seeing after Tuesday close is the failure to make new highs. It's very simple, so that we can know for sure that there are weaker hands in the market and there's a failure to keep making higher highs. And as we can see from Tuesday close here, price cleared out these highs and shift the market structure. And since then, persistent lower prices, persistent and failed attempt to keep on going higher. And it was just remarkable to watch. It was also nice on gold. We had straight drop on gold from Wednesday to Friday. So the fall here is done for now, right? However, could we see a case where the market should breathe higher and then to continue falling? Well, again, I don't have the chart in front of me. Tuesday close is always the way I like to see how the market is going to price lower, just because of how they are positioned. And we still see that they are committed to the long side. They haven't taken, in fact, they've increased the long positions on silver. Also, in the open interest too as well, they've increased as well. So again, could we see a recipe for lower prices on silver next week upon Tuesday close? I would love to see it, but again, a very good level I would want to see upon Tuesday is going to be perhaps a bullish close, and not just that bullish close. I want to see market fail to make higher highs upon Wednesday as well. So if that doesn't happen, it doesn't make it a very compelling argument for me. But there's always going to be the reason where we want to see failure to make higher highs if we're looking for lower prices. That was the note on silver. And next we had Euro GBP. Euro GBP was quite interesting for us because we had a pivot. We had a pivot from GU to Euro GBP. And why was that the case? Last week we knew from the news calendar, there was going to be an ECB rate decision, and the anticipation was that they were going to be hawkish. And in the case of a hawkish ECB, that should be supportive of the euro against British pound, and that was the call. The call was to wait for Thursday of that week, because the actual announcement was on Thursday. So wait for the Thursday, and that should be a good propeller for higher prices. And again, there's no surprise in how the market has played out in that anticipation that we want to see a shift upon the rate decision that would support higher prices, being the fact that they are being hawkish. And again, from here we see Thursday, Friday was the push higher. However, from the latest data now, we can see that the commercials have increased their short positions to an all-time high again, and we want to see what happens in this kind of case, because the commercials themselves are net position positive for the year. This is the most positive they've been in their position. In fact, we can see the fact that we flipped green in the percentage of long, percentage of short. The question now is how long before we see this materialize into the market. So for me, the trade has already occurred. Now I just sit back and try to see how the data evolves from here, and also this large amount of short commitment by the non-commercials, does it get squeezed out? So do we see the contracts here being taken off as the market reverses higher? Again, it's interesting for me to watch and see how that happens. But these are just speculation from my own end, and just trying to see how the market evolves over next week. So we continue to wait and see how the data evolves upon Tuesday close. But I think Euro GBP already played out, right? So I'm fine sitting this out, moving forward. And then now let's get into why we think this new week that we're going into is actually a trap. Now, this stems from the fact that we have a very packed weekly calendar, and again we have to plan our week according to how the calendar is looking. On Monday there is no news. On Tuesday we have just one red folder, which is the jobs opening. But most interesting is that the next day we have GDP. We don't just have GDP print alone. We actually have the FOMC as well. These are not market environments where you want to be speculating with full risk on, right? Because of the propensity of sluggish price action. The main focus of the market right now is how does the GDP print and how does Powell set the tone for monetary policy. So we have to be able to wait for that and digest the information as to where the market, how the market sees that data, right? So by the time you remove Tuesday as a day that you don't want to risk on a lot, by the time you removed not risking a lot on Wednesday because of the FOMC decision, you have to wait until after that. Well, you're actually left with Thursday. It somehow also happens to that this Thursday is also the Thursday of non-farm payroll. A rule from ICT himself tells us the fact that you want to skip Thursday of the non-farm payroll and focus just on the Monday to the Wednesdays. But we are having several mega fundamental news that would shape how we view policy moving forward. It's just best to just wait for that to play out. We can also see on the UJ side as well. The Bank of Japan, they have the monetary policy coming out so as well. This will definitely affect the tone of the market and how pricing is being done. The tone, is it dovish, is it hawkish? And we know that they are likely going to be perhaps neutral in this kind of case, right? Because a hawkish instance from the GBP is going to give us a strong yen, and that would unravel some of the gains that we had on UJ. But I'm not really counting on that, honestly. I still want to see weakness in the yen persisting. However, I cannot forecast that. I have to wait for the news event to happen and all of that. But there's no point session trading that the BOG press conference. Moving on as well to when would then be the best time to be in the market. I prefer staying out this week, right? On being fully risk on, and if I'm going to be trading, Asia of Thursday is going to be nice. But honestly, I still won't put my bank on that because of the fact that the tone from the FOMC is going to determine. And Thursday of this week also too, ICT tells us stay out. We know to stay out on Thursdays, except you are what I say willing to accept the risk. Okay. That aside, on Friday is going to be non-farm payroll. We don't trade the news. We wait until after the news has landed and market sentiment from that. More important again is the ISM that is coming out on Friday too as well. So that's going to be a key one. Better to just wait till Friday, till Friday for the print after non-farm payroll by 10 a.m. We have the ISM is going to be coming out. So this would be a better way. Just taking a comprehensive look at how the calendar is looking. Is this setting up for a good opportunity, or rather setting up for people to be slaughtered? And we are likely going to see a case where people are going to be slaughtered if they are not planning well for the week ahead. And seeing all of these, right, I begin to wonder to myself, how then is best to be positioned in this market? This is a week where better be a swing trader than be a day trader, right? If you understand the overall arcane drive in this market, and the plays I've been focused upon lately has been UJ. I've been focused on the metals, assets class. I've also been focused on the indices too as well for intraday trading. But seeing the week we have ahead, perhaps just remove the intraday trading. Now for the swings, UJ is there, Euro GBP is there, and also we have what's it called, the indices, right? So how then to play out next week? Rather than be an intraday trader next week through the sessions, I think you have better reward just being a swing trader. So looking for the swing point of how you think the market are going to be going, and just holding for the entire fluctuations and not necessarily trading the intraday sessions, because you could get harmed unnecessarily. And I think due to the upcoming trade negotiations announcement that might be up for us next week on the Eurozone, DAX might be a good place to play that, right? We saw the outsized reaction in the Nikkei upon the announcement of the trade negotiations within Japan, and this has been a monstrous move from Japan. We also know the FTSE as well. The FTSE as well had a fantastic um, gain upon the announcement of the trade too as well, and we're also at all-time highs too as well too. So the person lagging behind right now is the DAX, right? And I think the news about the trade is going to be a very good catalyst for us to push this thing higher. Upon the news announcement for DAX, it's going to be impacted by that. So if I'm bullish the indices and I think DAX might be a good place to enter, then I mean, why not play that out as a swing trade on DAX and look for a good level too there. Upon Tuesday close, and if the news comes out before Tuesday close, then I guess I missed that, right? So better to stay with your notes and taking note about the impact of all the catalysts I've just mentioned from the calendar, and so take a step back and let this week be a week where you get to reflect upon the data that are being that have been pushed out. Best be prepared for a week that would not favor intraday trading, and be content just to be patient and stay nimble and stay sharp, right? So that's my view for next week on the COT based off of the data that we're looking at. Let's take a look at UJ one more time. So for UJ, longs from this level, I just want a retracement to this buy here. I want a retracement to this level here, and then these equal highs here are good levels for us to close the month. That's the only swing I'm seeing right now that would play out nicely. For silver, I have to wait for Tuesday close, and for Euro GBP as well, Tuesday close as well too. So let's see. But again, no need to push anything or trying to intraday those things. It's to be a disaster. To be a disaster. All right. So that's how I'm positioned from my end. We will see how things evolve. That's it for this week's COT Outlook. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe, and drop a comment if you are watching any of these setups too. If you want to dive deeper, the full write-up is in my Substack, link in the description. Stay nimble, stay sharp. Well, see you next week.